everyone, I'm George from Clues in a Caravan. This is Peter and Kevin, and we are at... I don't know the name.
That is why you weren't going to do the intro, George.
That is right. We're at the Isle of Wight.
Insert name of Caravan Club here.
Yes, on the Isle of Wight, and we're on our 8th day, which is still an 8th day. It very briefly converted to a 7th day, but now it's an 8th day again.
Southlands
Caravan Park.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And we're cross.
We're not going to be cross for long though.
Oh.
But actually, you know, this is one of the reasons why we don't like holidaying on the Isle of Wight. And we'll just get it out of the way now, and then we can clear the air and talk about all the stuff that we do like about holidaying on the Isle of Wight. What we don't like about holidaying on the Isle of Wight is
that you might
the
just
fact that it's an island.
Throw your wallet in the sea.
And you can't just go home when you want to. Yes, you need a second mortgage for the ferry, and then if you want to amend your ferry sailing because of adverse weather conditions or something like that, you need to actually just take out a bank loan to pay.
So we'd already paid, you know, well over the odds for getting over here,
which was fine because we haven't had any other trips this year, so we thought we'd just put all our holiday spends into this holiday. Absolutely fine.
And
but then they want another 50 quid when you want to amend it.
We're supposed to leave tomorrow, and the forecast is for it to absolutely hammer down for the entire day as the back end of a storm comes in. And so I suggested, why don't we just, rather than sitting around all day listening to the rain hammering down on the roof, why don't we just get a late sailing tonight?
Yeah, say 8 o'clock.
It was going to be 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Now a 9 o'clock sailing is cheaper than a 4 o'clock one, which is what we had already booked for tomorrow. Mm. But
they can smell your desperation.
And what did she say?
That comes with, it's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you money. And then of course you have to say, well, how much money is it going to cost me? 50 quid. Outrageous.
On top of what we've already said, to go on a cheaper sailing, and her reason for that was
the ferry is quite busy. The busier the ferrier, the higher the price ticketer.
In other words, because they think they're going to be able to sell those spaces, they will charge a premium for people that want to rearrange a booking they've already spent a lot of money on and have paid for the booking for the class of ticket that means you should be able to make amendments.
Yeah, we had the flexible one, didn't we, so that you can make the amendments. So top tip, if you're travelling on holiday to the island, especially if you're towing a caravan or bringing a motorhome, which of course does come with a price ticket, make sure that you book the ones that you want and you're prepared to stick with them come rain or shine or strong winds.
It just would have been nice just to avoid it, but there we go. What's really hacked me off is that otherwise the experience, the Wightlink experience was surprising. I haven't used Wightlink for years. I've deliberately avoided them. We've gone via Red Funnel, who are marginally better in our experience. Well, they have been, haven't they?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, we went for Wightlink this time, and everything
because
had gone.
Of the flexible
despite,
ticket.
Yeah, it was because I booked it in May, and at that time we didn't know whether anything would be open at this point. Whereas for the Red Funnel tickets, they were non-refundable, or they were non-changeable. And so there was no way I was booking that. So we had to come via Wightlink because if Boris hadn't opened things up or had shut them again, we could have presumably got our money back. But anyway, it had gone really well up until that point. I've been quite impressed because they've got a new terminal. Basically, they've rebuilt the terminal in Portsmouth, and it's really nice. It's very efficient. They've got a nice new ship, and everything had gone really well up until that point.
Yeah,
until now. But
the experience of towing a caravan on and off a ferry for the first time, which could have been quite scary, was actually completely fine, wasn't it? There was no problem at all. I was quite nervous about towing. I was more nervous about missing the ferry, which resulted in us arriving an hour early, but but that wasn't a problem. And the experience of towing on and off the ferry was fantastic.
Yeah, so let's go back to the beginning. So we were, so we booked for an 8-night stay at Southlands Camping and Caravan Club on the island, which is the only camping and caravan club, no, caravan and motorhome club site on the island. Which is why we chose it. Peter's parents have been here before and said it was nice and the pictures look good, and so it has proven. It's a really nice site.
Lovely site.
Well, nice and boxed in.
So we had an 11 o'clock ferry, and we arrived in plenty of time, at an easy drive. It's the longest drive we've done with the new caravan, and it was no problem at all. The Alco hitch, even though the caravan's a lot heavier, it was absolutely fine. It's not a problem at all. And we also spent some time getting the nose weight right. Turns out, if you want to get the nose weight down on one of these, you have to take one. If you've got 2 gas bottles, take one out, because removing the 4.5 kilo gas bottle meant that we just about squeezed in under the maximum nose weight, and it towed beautifully. When we got, I was a bit nervous about driving through Portsmouth, but that was okay. It was all right.
The advantage of it not being terribly busy.
I was slightly confused by the signage, because there was cars in one direction, and I was in a car, and there was vans in the other direction. And
when we got to the terminal.
So,
yes, because they've got an upper deck now, so they load 2 lanes of traffic at the same time. So if you're just in a car or a small van, you go onto the upper deck of the car park, which means you go off down the little chicane to get to it. But of course, if you're a van or towing a caravan, you just go straight in and park underneath.
Yeah, and so we sat there for an hour because we were an hour early.
But we were in the shade, so that was good.
Yeah, but yes, it was boiling.
Yeah, it was really hot.
And then we were, it was easy. Taking the caravan actually onto a ferry is fine, because they were very attentive, and I was a little bit nervous about the sides because they do stick out a little bit, and there are some handrails, and you have to go sort of around the central part of the ship. So I was watching that very carefully, but otherwise absolutely fine. We chose not to put the handbrake on, as some people had suggested we should do, because I decided the risk of forgetting to take it off again was greater than the risk of it moving, and it was absolutely fine. And if it's a bit rough tomorrow, I might do.
There was a van right behind us like that,
yeah.
So I don't think we would have gone very far anyway.
And then in there, we had to wear masks almost, from the get-go, which was
She
all right,
had grapes for the entire thing.
Yeah,
it's one of the exclusions.
Then she, if you're eating, you don't have to, and so she got grapes, and she could just.
Yeah, I saw a lady with a really big box of fruit salad, and I thought, oh, what a good idea! You could just spend the entire 45 minutes eating your fruit salad and not have to wear a mask. And then I remembered I had a box of grapes in my bag, which took me 25 minutes to eat.
Everyone seemed to be behaving themselves, and it wasn't that busy, was it? It was,
the dog lounge was practically empty.
Yeah.
It was not a full ferry, and it was such a big one. The Queen of Victoria of Wight,
bizarre,
absolutely enormous boat. So I think they really would have to have a couple of coaches on there. Was there? I don't think there was any coaches. Was there?
No.
Coaches would make feel busier. No caravans. One motorhome. There was quite a lot of commercial traffic, which of course you've only got the driver then. So in terms of people upstairs, often when we've been on a full Wightlink ferry, you cannot sit down. Sorry, Red Funnel. I meant Red Funnel. You can't sit down because there are so many bodies on the boat, cars full, coaches, etc., that there is nowhere to sit. And you've got lots of people sitting in the dog lounge that don't have dogs because there's nowhere else to sit. So it was quite pleasant because you didn't feel like you were
and it's a shorter
surrounded.
Crossing as well. It's probably about 40 minutes. So you sort of felt like you'd sat down, had a drink, and then it was time to get off again.
Yeah.
So that all went really well.
Yes.
And the drive here, Peter had scoped out the drive, because you do have to be careful on the island. You do not follow GPS.
Yes, you do not want to go on the Downs roads with a
if it has shoot, if it has the word shoot or alley in the road name, do not
don't
take
go
them.
down there.
But yeah, that was fine. We had a lovely greeting here. The staff here are just fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. One of the best. Well, I mean, they're all great, aren't they?
They're all great, yeah. but they have been very very friendly and welcoming here, so that's been nice.
We managed to find, although we came in on a Tuesday, so a lot of people had settled in for the week, we managed to find a really nice sort of corner pitch.
There's a lot of hedges here, so you can find a nice secluded area, but there is also one road that reminded us a bit of Park Dean.
Yeah.
Down by the play area there's like a long run of pitches which are by the play area and on the edge of the other edge of the park to where we are, and it did feel a bit Park Dean there because it was a bit narrow and
great place to go if you've got the kids, because you can just let them just wander, go around to the play area, and there's been loads of kids here, lots of riding around and stuff like that, but it's been really nice for that. It's got a lot of life to it.
Unfortunately, we don't have any kids.
No. And we were unfortunate. The first couple of days there was a pitch just there, and George got his guitar out, and she was instantly,
oh my god,
instantly in the doorway of her caravan with a face on, which was quite easy to read even from a couple of hundred yards.
Is it
and her hands on her hips.
Is it Cyclops, George, the X-Man who has laser?
Yes. Oh yeah, it was.
That's what she was like.
That. And
yeah, she
was melting. You could feel yourself melting.
Yeah. So we thought, okay, well we'll wait till they go out. They didn't go out for 2 days. On the second day, George got his guitar out and Kev got his ukulele out. Oh my goodness, we really felt the heat that time.
Literally.
We were playing one song. We wanted to play the lockdown song for my parents because they were on a pitch just by us.
Yeah,
so we were sat under the trees. It was lovely.
My grandfather likes the song. He plays it constantly.
He does. He knows all the words to the lockdown song. But we couldn't, because the minute she heard a string being plucked, she was in the doorway of her caravan again. We were so happy when we saw them packing up the next morning. And they're gone.
You know, it isn't like the Park Dean we were at last year in terms of noise by any stretch of the imagination. It also is not it's quiet, but
there's a lot of dogs and
there's a lot of activity.
Kids, so there's a lot of busy noise and nothing that you think, oh my goodness, I wish they'd just stop doing that, like it was at Park Dean. Not music blaring or anything like that.
But it isn't somewhere you would come. It's
not peaceful.
You wouldn't come here if you wanted silence.
No.
By any means.
She did.
Well, apparently.
She picked the wrong site for that.
So that sort of put George off for a few days. But yeah, so the layout of the site's really nice. It's all very flat. We haven't seen that many people up on many blocks, so I think most of the pitches, this one was absolutely flat. We were really lucky with this. Got in nice and easily.
Nice
Some of the pitches I think you would struggle because they haven't got enough space between front to back, between two rows.
Yeah, so if you're in a motorhome, they'd be easier.
Yeah, they'd be easier in a motorhome. Yeah, definitely. So you do have to sort of pick and choose a little bit to find one. But we struck lucky because we sort of turned straight right and came here.
And the staff had advised us here. Unlike Rooksbury, where we drove around 3 times before we could even find a pitch, here they highlighted on the map the pitches that were available so that we could pick one.
Yeah, and that was all fine. Got set up nicely, and it was absolutely baking hot. We did nothing the first day after we arrived because it was just almost too hot to move. Well, we went down to Sandown on the day we arrived just to cool down really, and the dogs went in the sea.
We all went in the sea.
Yeah. We all paddled, didn't we?
Monty did not like the sea, but we all went in.
No. Dizzy surprised us by going in the sea.
Yeah, she was fine with it.
Yeah. And then on the second day we didn't go anywhere, did we?
No. My parents arrived on the second day and pitched up just opposite, and we just spent the day catching up.
It was like 35, 36 degrees.
It was really hot. But under the trees there, and there was a tiny occasional breeze, which was very welcome, and it was just nice to spend some time catching up with them, having not seen them for 6 months.
And then we went to Brown's. George, would you like to explain what Brown's is?
Brown's is a pitch and putt on the Isle of Wight. It's I'm not sure what the conventional image of a pitch and putt is, but it's basically maybe a 50-yard bit where you do a drive with a pitch, with a pitching wedge, and basically it's a pitch and 2 putts.
And there's 3 courses, isn't there?
Yeah, there's red, blue, and yellow. Yellow and red are basically the same, but I think red has longer fairways. and
blue one's very
blue
short,
one's
isn't it?
really short. I think it's more a kids one, really.
But they also do. They've got a nice cafe there,
and it's been there for a really long
Yeah,
time. I
it's a
don't
sort
actually know how long it's been there, but I'd say at least 100 years. I'm sure that's been there since the
and they handled the
pre-war.
COVID restrictions very well. They took names as we went in, but in a very, very nice. I mean, he must have got fed up with people complaining, but he did it really well. And they'd spaced the tables out, and they had remote serving, so you would go, they would bring it out, and then you go and pick it up, and that worked well.
Yeah, it's great.
So that wasn't freaky at all. And then the first rain happened while we were about the third hole, weren't we, George?
Yeah.
And it bucketed down, and we thought, no, carry on, because it's going to stop any second now. And it didn't. And we ended up running for this sort of, they've got this raised tee in the middle of the golf course where you're up on and it's a wooden building, and you hit from higher up, don't you? But you can hide in there as well, which is what we did among, along with a lot of other people, until it went away. And that was a taste of things to come.
I could have used my umbrella hat. If you don't know what my umbrella hat
My
is,
new umbrella hat.
link into my video in the description.
We'll put a photo in. Yeah.
Link
Well, you'll
to
be able
my
to use it tomorrow, George.
link to my video in the description where you can learn all about my trip that I edited and stuff. And
So-
it was much better than this video.
So Brown's is somewhere we'd recommend, wouldn't it? Because
Oh, yes,
it was just, it
definitely.
wasn't like, there were some people who thought they knew what they were doing with a golf club.
They
It
did
was
not.
quite amusing to. I'm sure some of them do, but yeah.
It's just a bit of fun, isn't
Yeah, it is. It's really a nice, gentle place to come, and you've got the beach immediately opposite. Just walk over. Dinosaur Isle, which is a good dinosaur museum, which I didn't go in because you have to wear a mask all the way around, and my glasses steam up when I wear a mask, so there would be little point. And then you can walk down. You've obviously got a range of beaches, some of which are, well, actually, in fact, most of which allow dogs. There's only a couple of beaches in the middle where they say
Oh,
no
what's
dogs.
no dogs? Yeah.
But the ones on the other, normally you only get one beach you can put a dog on. Whereas at Sandown, you can actually, at least up at the Yaverland end, you can have the dogs on most of the beaches there. And they are lovely beaches. I think they're probably the best beaches on the island. All sandy. And then you can walk into Sandown, which is somewhat less impressive.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to
looking
say.
a bit
It's a bit
tired,
run
isn't
down.
it? Sandown?
Lots of the hotels have shut. And, so I guess it's Victorian, mainly built. So we did that and then came back and sort of collapsed on Thursday. That was Thursday, was it? Yeah. Friday.